Good evening, everyone. This is Dana from NexGen, and I am so excited about these Me Inc. Topics because I think this is something that everyone can use no matter where they are in their life, and hopefully you're getting a lot out of it too. We started out with the introduction about what Me Inc. is. It's monetary education, and it's basically treating yourself as a business. The second week, we talked about getting prepared for the following year. So we did this in 2021, and we're getting ourselves prepared for 2022. In the first week, we did the assessment, take a look at what we had and what we could work with. Week two, we did the 2022 personal budget. Then from there, we looked at week three, where we did the health savings account. And not a whole lot of people we found knew about it. So this was one of the ways that we could increase our net worth. And I'll talk about that in a minute. In week four, we talked about interest. And one of the things that is very interesting about interest is how it's being used, whether we pay it or receive it. And so we explored areas where we could maximize receiving the interest as opposed to paying interest to where we have to dig ourselves out of debt. Then in week five, we talked about the rental do's and don'ts because not everyone is going to buy their home, which is perfectly fine. But for those people that are new to the rental community, we thought that we should share some do's and don'ts, things that would be helpful to you. And from there, we moved into identity theft because we found out that some of the challenges with renting properties or with anything, we have to be more mindful about our personal information, especially in these times. Then we took a look at our millennial family in week seven, where we did a case study. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to do the retirement prep work for this millennial family. And to do that, we actually needed to talk about how to calculate your net worth. So we did that in week eight. And then in week nine, we had a multi-generational conversation about net worth. So we had the millennials, we had the boomers, and we had the Gen X. They were basically talking about it because at the end of the day, it's really not about the income. It's about the net worth and how much you keep, not how much you make. Because income is not equal whether you talk about a W-2 income or a 1099 income. Then in week 10, we did a preliminary, so you want to retire. And again, we want to plan for our retirement, whatever that may be, as soon as possible. We don't want to wait until the last possible minute because planning and preparation is what it's all about. So let's go ahead and dig into the prep work that we would need to do. Now we're going to use Carla and Mark as an example. There are millennials, and we're going to use them as our example with Joshua, the millennial family, to talk about some prep work that we would need to do when we're preparing for retirement. The first thing we want to do is we want to define retirement. Retirement means so many things to so many people, and I would suggest that in most cases, retirement is basically buying your time back. And so, what does it mean to you? That's what's the most important thing. Then, once you've defined what retirement means to you, then you want to talk to your family. You want to have a communication with your spouse if you have one, because this is a team effort. When we talk about family income and family dynamics, this is something that we want to talk to our spouse and family about. It's also a good idea to communicate with those who have successfully retired. And a couple of things that came out of the communication is that Mark and Carla talked to their parents who had successfully retired. So they talked about some of the things that they would want to do in preparation. And they also shared some of the things that they wish they had known or things that they wish they had done. And one of the key things, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit later, is that just because you take out a 30-year mortgage doesn't mean you have to take 30 years to pay it off, or even 15 years. And you don't have to go into debt to establish credit. So these are some of the things that go around the communication that you would want to have with those that are where you want to be. Now, I know that credit is not one of the factors you would normally think of in retirement, but it actually is. Then you want to set up a plan. Now, some people propose that you may want to set your plan up as a 10-year plan. I say that you would want to set up your plan from the day that you start working to retire, or basically buy your time back. You don't have to work 40 hours a week for 40 years to live off of 40% of what you probably couldn't live off of. And that was a saying that we had before. But setting up a plan, and again, this goes back to the communication and actually defining what retirement is. Part of that plan should be monitoring your health, because when you go into retirement, whatever that may be, you want to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be, because studies have proven that health costs are what depletes any retirement savings that a person may have. So you want to make sure that you're monitoring your health at all stages of your life, because it actually would delve into other areas, especially when you want to get life insurance. The healthier you are, the lower your premiums would be. And also you'll feel better. Then after you take a look at your health assessment, some of that may be why people are looking to go into Social Security earlier. So what is right for you and your family will dictate when you would receive, or when you would want to receive, Social Security. Definitely go ahead online and sign up for it so you can actually make sure that that information is accurate. It is as important as your credit report. Also, you can correct errors the sooner the better. So when you take Social Security is a personal decision, but I've heard some millennials don't expect to receive Social Security when it's their turn. So if that's the case, then plan accordingly. Also, you want to have a network. You want to have a network while you're working, and you also want to have a network when you decide you want to retire, because a lot of people retire without a plan of what they're going to do outside of their working life. So networking is very important. Also, because we're defining what retirement is, you also want to decide on how much you want to work, if at all. So you want, in my personal opinion, you want to work because you want to, not because you have to. So that is one of the things that I recommend, along with developing a retirement budget. And I will tell you, as a retiree, newly minted, I won't say newly minted because I'm coming up on 2 years, but your retirement budget is going to look very different from your budget that you have during your working years. So, or working outside of the home, because in this scenario, based on the definition, Carla actually retired. She is a stay-at-home mom, and we're very happy for them. So again, you want to put together the retirement budget. And to do that, you also, as part of your prep work, want to look at your net worth. So with Carla and Mark, we're going to take a look at their net worth, and then how we actually put that information together. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about what we're going to do with that information. This is Mark and Carla's the spreadsheet that we're going to use to computate their personal net worth. So what I'll do is I'm going to start from the debt, liabilities, and then move to the assets, and then we'll look at the total of their net worth. They do have a mortgage on their primary residence, and that is $375,000. They do not have a home equity line of credit, but they do have a car loan for $35,000. And they have a personal consumer debt loan for $40,000, and that is from, I think, the furnishings for their home. So the balance is $40,000. So this is the debt that they have, and their goal is to eliminate this debt in 5 to 7 years. So let's move on to the assets. All right. On their primary residence, they did get a appraisal on the property, and it is $415,000. They don't have any other properties. They do have a retirement savings from work. Mark and Carla both have retirement accounts, and so far it is $35,000. They don't have any stocks or bonds. They do have a certificate of deposit. Actually, they have more than one certificate of deposit, and the total is $50,000. They do not have any trust funds or any health savings accounts. Their goal is to look into that and see if that's something that they can take advantage of. And then, as we said before, they both have 30-year life insurance policies. And so let's go ahead and put that in there for $750,000. I think I have more than, take off a zero. Okay. They don't have any other investments. They don't have any money in their checking account. They take that to pay their bills, and everything that's left goes into their savings account. And their savings account currently is $7,500. The vehicle that they have, so they actually have two vehicles. One has the blue book value of 31,000, and the other vehicle that they have, the blue book on that is 5,000. They do have furnishings in their home, and the total value for that, and in their insurance, it's actual replacement value, so that's $75,000. So that's what they have in the way of assets, from the home to their retirement savings to the certificates of deposits, life insurance, savings account, and the vehicles and furnishings. Now, as I said before, the vehicles and the furnishings are depreciating assets, even though on the furnishings they do have actual replacement value on their insurance. So let's go ahead and take a look at their net worth. Okay, their net worth is $1.668 million. Now, keep in mind that part of that net worth is their life insurance, which would only come into play when they pass away during the 30-year period, which we hope that that does not happen. And the property includes their primary residence. So to get a truer picture, even though this is what would be considered their net worth, what I would do is I would go back into the assets and take off the life insurance. I think that's about it. I would leave the home in there because they can actually sell the home. So let's go ahead and look at their net worth. Okay, that would be 168,000. Now again, they do have the life insurance as protection. So, the main thing that I would want you to look at is the total debt, which is 450,000, which is what they want to eliminate. So if you add 450 to this amount, you would get what their true assets would be, which is $618,500, which is the amount that they can use. Of course, the property is not liquid, and the retirement savings, they couldn't take it out without paying taxes and a penalty. So just wanted to give you a snapshot on their net worth. This is Mark and Carla's pre-work summary. They are working towards getting their 1 year of expenses in an emergency fund. And right now it's $115,000. Of course, that's going to change once they pay off their consumer debt and their mortgage and their car loan. But that's where it is right now. Mark wants to retire before 60, so we're looking at the soonest based on his employer is 57. However, that could be sooner because there's some other things that they'd like to do. They want to have multiple 1099s and passive income. They want, in buying their time back, they don't want to use Mark's ability to perform to be the income that they receive. So they want to have passive income. They want to have $1.2 million in net worth by the time that Mark retires, and that is doable. To do this, they're going to need to make sure that they control their spending. It doesn't mean that they have to be overly restrictive, just make sure they're paying attention. And of course, they want to put money aside for their children's post-high school education. And again, that's if it's even warranted. And to have generational wealth, they want to make sure that they have they're going to start having the form of family bank. So additional information is below. So if you have any questions, please make sure that you put them in the comments section, and I will see you next week.
Make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can never miss another video.